It is Monday, the 11th of November, 2024. My name is Pigeon Rose, and this is my song of the day. Here we are with another week of Pigeon's Song of the Day, and as I mentioned previously, this week is going to be focused on Desert Bus. You might be saying, that's a weird theme for a song podcast. You might also be saying, what the fuck are you talking about? As I've mentioned previously, Desert Bus for Hope is a fundraiser for Child's Play charity organized by Loading Ready Run and a bunch of other people. It's a live stream event that happens once a year for a week in November. It's currently happening now. Go to desertbus.org for more details. It's great. Why I'm bringing it up for this show, apart from the fact that it's currently happening, so you should be really watching it instead of listening to this show, but here we are, is that I have discovered a lot of great music through Desert Bus, so I'm using this opportunity to talk about songs that I discovered through Desert Bus or I associate with Desert Bus all throughout this week. So that's fun. A lot of it is Canadian. Who's shocked? Anyway, go to desertbus.org to find out more details about the fundraiser. Now, though, I'm going to be talking about One Great City by the Weakerthans, or I should say, One Great City, because there's an exclamation mark. The Weakerthans are a Canadian band from Winnipeg, Manitoba, and that is relevant because this song is about Winnipeg. I won't give you more details on that before we listen to it. But anyway, they're a Canadian band. They formed in the 90s. They released 4 albums, and they've been on hiatus since 2014. They've kind of said they broke up, but they also said they're cryogenically frozen, implying that they might get back together at some point. Hopefully someday we'll get something new because I do love their music, but they haven't released anything in 17 years-ish. Hopefully they'll come back together at some point and release something new, or even just do reunion concerts. But anyway, that's besides the point. We're talking about this song now, so let's go and listen to it and then come back in a few minutes and talk about it. There it is, One Great City by the Weakerthans. Now, what I love about this song is that it's clearly a tribute to the band's hometown of Winnipeg, but the refrain is, I hate Winnipeg. I've written things like this about Mullingar, to be fair. No, what I love about it is that it's just vocals and acoustic guitar. It's really pretty sounding, and the vocal melody is also quite nice. So you expect it to be like this lovely song about, oh, the nice things around the city, and the whole thing is about how much Winnipeg sucks. But it's not just about Winnipeg sucking, it's about the people of Winnipeg's attitude towards it. Winnipeg is going to not sound like a word by the end of this episode. And so it's not just about the band hating Winnipeg, it's about how on brand it is for people from Winnipeg to hate Winnipeg. You know what I mean? I just think it's a very successful, kind of satire, I guess, is how one could describe it. So let's just go through the lyrics, I guess. Late afternoon, another day is nearly done. A darker gray is breaking through a lighter one. 1,000 sharpened elbows in the underground. That hollowed, hurried sound of feet on polished floor. And in the dollar store, the clerk is closing up and counting loonies, trying not to say, I hate Winnipeg. So, late afternoon, another day is nearly done, implies, just the way it's phrased is saying, oh, the day is nearly done, but you can already tell it's a negative thing, I can't wait for this day to be over, A darker gray is breaking through a lighter one. The overcast weather is giving way to even worse weather. Breaking through makes it sound like you're talking about the sun coming out, but it's talking about darker gray breaking through the lighter gray, 1,000 sharpened elbows in the underground. So apparently, famously in Winnipeg, there is an intersection that is closed to pedestrians, so people go underground across the street. So it's talking about 1,000 sharpened elbows, people rushing through. Workday is done, it's rush hour, people are rushing through, and they've all got sharp elbows poking into each other. It's just it's a description of a normal, quote-unquote, thing of a crowd moving through a city, but the use of the phrase sharpened elbows makes it immediately tell you how crowded it is and how rude and rushed it is, right? That hollow, hurried sound of feet on polished floor. So people walking through the underground, it's echoing. You can just hear that echoey footstep sound. And in the dollar store, the clerk is closing up and counting loonies. So there's a dollar store in this underground area. The clerk is closing for the day and he's counting money. A loonie is a slang term for a Canadian dollar coin because it has a loon on it, the bird loon. And so people call it a loonie. And then a $2 is a toonie. But Anyway, the idea that he's counting loonies is saying he's not just counting his money after the day, he's counting $1 coins because, it's a low denomination. So he's just counting all of these single dollars he has to figure out how much he has. And it says, counting loonies, trying not to say, I hate Winnipeg. So he's trying to hold it in that this is pissing him off, that he's counting these loonies and he just wants to go home. It makes him think, I hate Winnipeg, although he's trying not to say it out loud. And then the next verse, the driver checks the mirror 7 minutes late. The crowded rider's restlessness enunciates. The guess who sucked, the jets were lousy anyway. The same route every day, and in the turning lane, someone stalled again. He's talking to himself, and here's the price of gas repeat his phrase, I hate Winnipeg. So, the driver checks the mirror 7 minutes late. The crowded rider's restlessness enunciates. As you can probably figure out, this is a reference to apparently the Winnipeg transit buses being very behind schedule regularly, which is no shock to me because I live in Ireland and our bus system sucks balls. So, and, the driver checks the mirror 7 minutes late, implies the driver doesn't really care that the bus is late, but then the crowded rider's restlessness enunciates, shows you that the people on the bus obviously are not a fan of it. And then the Guess Who sucked. The Guess Who were a Winnipeg band that Winnipeg is quite proud of. It's like, hey, this band is from Winnipeg. They're great. You may know their song, American Woman. That's certainly the song I know by them. He's saying the Guess Who sucked. So immediately he's just like turning on Winnipeg. He's like, well, I don't like Winnipeg, so the Guess Who are a bad band. And everyone's like, and then he says the Jets were lousy anyway. So the Winnipeg Jets were the hockey team in Winnipeg. Then they moved to Phoenix, Arizona, and then they moved back to Winnipeg in 2011. So he's just criticizing the local team basically, which is like, he's like a wrestler trying to get cheap heat, If you want the crowd to boo you, you insult the local sports team. That's what you do. And so he's saying the Guess Who sucked, the Jets were lazy anyway. He's just bringing up Winnipeg things and saying they're bad because he hates Winnipeg, right? And you can kind of feel that he's maybe not being serious. He's just like, he's angry, so he'd say anything, you know what I mean? But he's not just expressing his own views. I mean, he probably doesn't think these things necessarily. I keep saying he. I don't know if I've said that the lead guy's name is John K. Samson. He wrote the song, he's singing it. I think he's also playing the guitar. Anyway, so he's saying that the people on the bus are saying these things. It's their restlessness enunciates the Guess Who sucked, the Jets were lousy anyway. So it's implying that they're so annoyed that they'd say anything about how much Winnipeg sucks, even insulting the famous band and the team, the sports team. The same route every day, and in the turning lane, someone stalled again. So they're talking about how the bus is trying to turn, and there's a car there that's stalled, and the person who's trying to get the stalled car to work is talking to himself, and here's the price of gas, repeat his phrase, I hate Winnipeg. So, here's the price of gas, repeat his phrase is like him trying to get his fucking car to start and thinking about how expensive gas is, and thinking I hate Winnipeg. And so it's again with the clerk in the store, he's just frustrated and he's like, I hate this fucking town. And then the end of the song, and up above us all, leaning into sky, our golden business boy will watch the North End die and sing I love this town, then let his arcing wrecking ball proclaim, I hate Winnipeg. So when I first heard this song, not knowing anything about Winnipeg except for when I hear Winnipeg, I think of this song now, but what it makes me think of is Chris Jericho, who's from Winnipeg. Someone in the crowd, speaking of wrestlers for some reason, someone in the crowd yelled at him, go back to Toronto. And he said, I'm from Winnipeg, you idiot. And then throws the other wrestler back into the ring. It's just very funny to me. But anyway, so not knowing anything about Winnipeg, I heard this thing and assumed that the golden business boy was referring to a council member or the mayor or something, but it's actually referring to a statue that is on the dome of the Manitoba Legislative Building in Winnipeg. It is a statue of a nude young man running forward carrying a torch in one hand and a bundle of wheat in the other. Thank you, Wikipedia, for that description. And it's just on top of the government building and it's facing the North End. And that's why it says, our golden business boy will watch the North End die. Apparently the North End of Winnipeg is it's the rough part of town. It's the place that's poor, there's violence, buildings are falling apart, and the government doesn't give a shit about it. So the statue on the legislative building looking towards this neglected part of town is this wild bit of political irony, And then it says, and sing I love this town, because a statue like that is supposed to be this great symbol of loving the town, and then let his arcing wrecking ball proclaim I hate Winnipeg. So it's talking about the government claiming to love the town and then doing things that are destructive. Specifically, this is referring to apparently apparently just a lot of demolitions in Winnipeg. Specifically on Genius, it mentions something happening in the 1980s when 5 blocks of Portage Avenue were razed for the construction of Portage Place Mall with the stated aim of revitalizing downtown, but it's just a dead mall now, you know? And so it's just talking about how the government has this supposed symbol of how much they love the town that overlooks the part of town that they fucking abandoned. And so what I find so interesting about this song is that it's like, it's so negative about the city, but it seems like it comes from the place of wanting the city to be better. He's not just saying, fuck Winnipeg, all my homies hate Winnipeg. He's saying the attitude of the locals is, I hate Winnipeg, and it shouldn't be. People should be prouder of where they're from, and things need to change. Now, I'm reading that into it myself. I don't know if they've made a statement on specifically how seriously or non-seriously this is supposed to be taken, but that's how I think of this song. It's not John K. Samson saying, I hate Winnipeg. It's him saying, hating Winnipeg shouldn't be the default. Do you get me? I realized that I talked about hearing this song on Desert Bus, but I didn't actually talk about the context of that. So one of the things they do on Desert Bus is Pigeon, one of the members, will play the 4 chords or the ice cream chords on his guitar, and then people will chip in with songs that fit the tune of it. And at one point, I think Matthews and Cam both started singing this song and just ending on the I hate Winnipeg. And I was like, okay, what is that? Because that's hilarious. And then I looked it up and listened to it, and it's great. And that's how I got into this band. So thank you, Desert Bus, for this song. I will be saying that a lot throughout the week. Anyway, that's going to be it for today. Please go check out Desert Bus at desertbus.org. Thank you so much for listening. Please hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think. Tell other people about this show. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
Break it down.
Ow, here they come, the beautiful ones, the beautiful ones. It's about how on brand it is for people from Winnipeg to hate Winnipeg. You know what I mean? Yeah, follow? And in the dollar store, the Kirk is Kirk? Kirk! Mrs. Spock. Let's get those rockets ready to destroy the universe! I was just editing the Anakin episode, so now I've got fucking for science in my head. Anyway, late afternoon. It's just frustrated, and he's like, I hate this fucking town. I cannot even leave my fucking house. I don't know the rest of the lyrics of that song. Manitoba. Oh, fucking gosh.